This is Shamanic Business. Welcome to the Shamanic Business Podcast. Every episode, I invite a new artist or entrepreneur to crack their case with the help of Shamanic Dreaming. This episode, I'm speaking to Rachael Burns, who is a yoga teacher, personal trainer, and Thai yoga massage therapist, and is now starting her journey in the digital world. I think the last time we spoke to each other was when I was lost on mushrooms and run into you in the middle of the dance floor at Boom Festival. No?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Cool. So yeah, it's been a roller coaster for you the last few months.
Yeah, with some really, really high highs, like amazingly high highs, and some pretty dark lows as well. So yeah.
Yeah, it's an acceleration of everything. Everything is more intense. The peaks are more intense, but also the lows are more intense nowadays.
Definitely. But I guess when you come to the conscious place of taking the lows as an opportunity to observe that suffering and use it as a drive to push you forwards, or an understanding that suffering itself comes from something inside that needs to be worked through, then the pain isn't enjoyable, but it's productive, let's say.
Yeah, well, it can be quite enjoyable if you look at it like that. It's like being a psychological esoteric masochist or something.
No pain, no gain in the spiritual realm.
Right? Okay, so the concept of Shamanic Business is basically that every episode I invite a different artist or entrepreneur. Then we talk a little bit about their business or their project. And then we're gonna crack the case by the use of Shamanic Dreaming. And you've thought about the question, something that's bothering you in your business.
I have, yes. Yeah.
Perfect. So first of all, we're gonna zoom in a little bit more about your what you're currently working on.
Mm-hmm. Perfect.
So you told me that you were starting a yoga business online. Is that correct?
I am, yes. Yeah, so the quarantine has served to really observe the reality of limiting oneself, of exchanging time for money. That I think it's one of these things as entrepreneurs, it's like the first hurdle that or mistake that we can often make is to continue to work in this mode of exchanging time for money. And quarantine really showed me
being paid by the hour.
Exactly. And quarantine just highlighted the fact that as long as I continue with that format, I don't have the freedom to, the financial freedom to continue through months of no work. It was a wake-up call.
Yeah, it's kind of an initiation into the digital world, no?
Definitely, into a realm I never would have even considered had I not been forced to. Yeah,
same here, actually.
Oh, it was the same
before
for you?
We know it. Well, I'm doing shamanic sessions, which is also mostly one-on-one or with groups. And now I have to digitalize my shamanic work. And this podcast is one of the manifestations of this. So, yeah.
Fantastic.
We have to innovate, huh?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And I guess there's that initial phase of adaptation that can be quite uncomfortable. The lack of knowledge as to how to do it and the process of tripping up multiple times and having to make continual investment in maybe upgrading products, especially when it comes to technology. And when we've put between, like we say in English, a rock and a hard place, you don't have a choice to do it. So you just keep moving forwards. Whereas you're in a place of comfort, i.e. pre-quarantine, and you're not put into that situation. So there isn't a reason to go through it. Yeah.
Yes, because we were just giving sessions and it was all fine, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So what was your pre-corona? What was your business about mostly?
It's a combination of yoga, personal training, and massage. but with the concept
Right.
of moving people towards a more intuitive way of working with their body.
Nice.
So getting away from the concept of the body as an ornament and moving towards the body as an instrument and a tool through which we can know ourselves better.
What is an ornament?
An ornament is something that you look at, something pretty that you look at.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Like a trophy.
Exactly. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So in the world of fitness, especially in the gym world or the training world, you can find a lot of belief that the reason for exercising is for the body to look a certain way.
Yeah.
And it's a mindset that's very much in the Western world, is that we have to work towards looking a certain way. And that, for many people, is the only reason that they exercise, or it is at least their main focus. And
Yeah.
as long as we use that as a focus, we'll never be happy, and we'll never really appreciate the body for just how magnificent it is. And through combining the yoga techniques, you don't have to get into a really what people understand as being spiritual practice. And I actually don't really touch much on, I don't use spiritual words or spiritual, I don't talk about the spirituality behind it, but more of the mindset behind our relationship with the body. And so getting people to find that strength physically that comes from a place of truly loving this machine that we live in, this body that we live in.
All right. Yeah, if I look at myself, the main reason I'm doing yoga and exercise, kickboxing and everything is mostly the mental benefits, because it makes me feel so good. It makes me feel so focused also in my daily life. So,
and there is a certain percentage of society who definitely takes that mindset. But you see more and more, you just have to go onto Instagram to connect with this obsession with the body perfect. And and it's so destructive. And in Western world, we've got quite a destructive relationship with our physical bodies, and it doesn't lead to actually healthy. It doesn't matter how much we train or how clean we eat. If our mind is consistently battling with the body, then the body is not healthy.
Agreed. Yes. Agreed. So how do you are converting people from the old way of thinking to the new way of thinking, or?
So, it's kind of a journey of my own. It's a healing process. I suffered from an eating disorder as a teenager, and it's a mentality that takes time to really, one, understand, and two, convert into something positive. And so it's through my own experience of helping people to change the reason for training. And so it's just bringing a real mindfulness to the training itself. So really connecting with, how does it feel in my body? Why do I want to do this exercise, or why do I want to do this pose? Am I forcing myself into it? Am I attached to having to do the splits, or to standing on my head? And why? Why do I want to stand on my head? Who do I think I'm going to be when I get to stand on my head? So taking people in a direction. So let's learn to stand on our heads without wanting to stand on our heads. That sort of journey into a pose.
Making it more about the journey.
Exactly. Yeah.
Sounds amazing. So you was that doing mostly in group sessions?
Yeah, so I've got a combination of group and private. The group setting's fantastic because you've got that dynamic. People can learn from each other and be motivated by the presence of another. And then in the one-to-ones, you can really specifically hone in on what the movement patterns of that particular individual are, and where the psychology is behind those movement patterns, and really break it down and and understand it from an emotional perspective, why we move the way we do. The body is so fascinating.
Yeah. Sounds amazing. So you're now in the process of turning that into digital products?
Yeah. So I imagine you went through a similar process with the quarantine of maybe trying on many outfits, let's say, or many possible ways of changing your business to go digitally. And the format that is sort of feeling the best for me is to create courses where people can access them online and also have one-to-one private sessions online or a group format. So creating courses with various different formats so that there's a price range in accordance with what people can afford. You know, sort of a basic package where it's all, a downloadable format, and then packages where people can be in a group or they can have private help.
Yeah, sounds good.
So I get the impression that for you, it's kind of been the same. You've taken what you were doing in person to doing your sessions online, and
well, there's some things that I cannot do online if it involves any psychoactive kind of substances. But yeah, so actually I've kind of evolved in my shamanic work also, because in the past I've always used psychedelics to get in an altered state and then observe the visions, study the dream symbology, figure out what it means, and then use that, make it practical, integrate it in my life. But since a few years, I've been starting to do shamanic dreaming, which is basically using a shamanic drum to get in a trance state, which is very similar to the psychedelic experience. It actually also generates the same brainwaves, and it also triggers this rapid eye movement in your eyes, like when you're sleeping, when you're dreaming. And I actually noticed that there is something what I call the imagination bicep. So this is not about aesthetics. So this imagination bicep, let's say if you drop acid, drop LSD, you are the best imaginer. You can imagine everything, your visualization is really good. But then after a few days, your imagination is kind of back where it was again. And with this shamanic dreaming, every time you do it, you train a little bit of this imagination bicep. And so the visions, every time you do it, they get more vivid, they get more clear, and they get more, a lot more psychedelic actually after a while. So also, if you're just starting out with this, it's not going to be very intense like you're on mushrooms or everything, but you are going to have an effect. And that's the amazing thing, that most of the time people who do it for the first time, they're actually amazed, like, whoa, did that really just happen?
And do you find when you're working with people, those who have delved into psychedelic experiences have more of a capacity to tap into maybe a memory within themselves of that imagination bicep?
Yeah, because I do think that psychedelics work out this imagination bicep, but it's kind of like starting with deadlifts. It's like starting with deadlifts,
Okay.
So if I'm I'm just starting out with fitness, and I'm going to start with deadlifting, and I put on as much weight as possible, then I'm gonna have like muscle aches. How you call this? Muscle aches, pain in my muscles for 2 weeks. I think if you drop acid or mushrooms for the first time in a high dose, then afterwards you cannot integrate it probably. So you're gonna have like symbolical, psychological, imagination kind of muscle pain. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it makes sense.
So, but people who, started small and went tripping on higher and higher dosages, they did somehow build their imagination muscle. And I feel as if those people also have more of an effect than people who are just completely blank from zero, start with shamanic dreaming.
Yeah, it makes sense. You're referring to it in the fitness context. It is the mind as a muscle and the strengthening that capacity of the mind to go down certain neurological pathways. And it's exactly the same as the muscular structure within the body itself.
Yeah, that's why I like the metaphor, the imagination bicep.
Bicep is brilliant.
Yeah, or the imagination abs. I don't know. Legs. Imagination leg muscle. Is that better?
I like that. I like the imagination bicep. That sounds good.
Yeah, right. Everybody wants big biceps, but how is your imagination bicep,
How often do you work that out?
Nowadays, actually, pretty much. I even went on a pause. Well, I'm retired. I'm a retired psychedelic adventurer because I noticed that the amount of tripping that I was doing was actually inhibiting my shamanic dreaming work. Because, when you are tripping, I feel as if it's depleting your imagination. So the next days, it's harder for me to start a shamanic dreaming session.
Okay.
I prefer at this moment the subtlety of the shamanic dreaming sessions, and it's way more lucid, and I can, ask questions, build relationships with different of these dream animals and teachers. So it's way more controllable and therefore more practical.
Yeah, I guess it's, I'm trying to remember who it was who talked about the fact that on the path to understanding oneself spiritually, it's you can use psychedelics to give you a glimpse of what can be achieved. I don't think achieved is the right word, but to use a word, achieved through prolonged meditation and self, introspection and self observation. And, so psychedelics taking a dosage can give you a glimpse of so many things, but it is only a glimpse. The true work isn't done on a psychedelic experience. It's done in a natural state and using non-drug induced states to understand oneself better.
Exactly. If we go back to the fitness metaphor, if you take amphetamine, for example, then you can deadlift pretty high weights, But you didn't train the muscle from the beginning, so yeah, you're probably gonna have a lot of muscle pain and maybe even get an injury. And the next day or the next week, you cannot lift it again because you didn't build the muscle. And if you drop acid, yes, you are way out there in your imagination, but you didn't slowly build it over time with your own natural abilities,
Yeah. Yeah, I think this is what we're seeing a little bit with the fashion of the ayahuasca experience. That so many people who maybe have no practice in their daily lives or no practice whatsoever that helps them to look within, and they will go to something as profound as an ayahuasca experience without having anything that they've built up as a foundation towards that experience, and then walk away from it without having those tools to go back to. And it's, I do believe that these experiences can really help, but it's the fact that, anything that's worthwhile requires hard work. And so if we're breaking down a really ingrained mental pattern or way of thinking, or we want to shift a paradigm, we can't just go and take a substance and expect it to do the work for us.
No. And that's the thing, it never does the work for us. Even if you do have the visionary, life-changing, transformative experience, you still have to integrate the insights yourself and take the action yourself, So even with ayahuasca, I have lots of healing benefits from it, but it was only pointing the spots where I needed healing, And then it started a whole process of healing, which I had to do myself, but it's never a quick fix. Too bad, but it's not true.
But it does point you in the right direction, doesn't it? It gives you, it helps you to know where to look.
Exactly. So yeah, I'm curious to the question you prepared for this session.
So it's having had such a paradigm shift happen in such a short space of time in the realm of both personally and in choice of how to offer my services in my business, means that there's a lot of learning for me to do. There's a lot of areas on this digital platform, where everything can be offered that I just have no experience with. And there's so many directions I can go in. And my questions are, it's kind of a questions within a question. I'm aware of the fact that a mentor would be fantastic, and having a platform, a mentor, so a guide, like a business guide.
Okay, you mean in the imagination realm?
No, a natural mentor, like a business
an actual
mentor.
Guide. Yeah.
Yes,
okay.
Natural guide. And it's knowing that I've got so many next steps. My question is the order of the steps, what order my steps should be to get me going in the right direction. Because it's so easy to have the wrong order and to maybe do something that should be right at the end of preparing a course, let's say. And I'm thinking about doing it now. And so it's understanding what order to do my different elements of the business in, so as to maximize the success and to reach as many people as possible, so that I can, go completely online and have a freedom within the in-person experience to not need it financially. So to find that financial freedom with the online realm, basically.
So the main question is, what order should I start my digital journey?
Exactly. Yeah.
Cool. All right. That's a good question. I'm actually curious myself.
When we have so many ideas and so many amazing things that we want to do, and offer and do, ways that we can help others and heal as we help others, sometimes actually putting those into action and knowing how to make them a reality, actually manifest them, that can be a bigger challenge than the mental aspect, of creating it in the mind. It's taking it from the mind and making it real. That's the challenge.
Yeah, that's life. Yeah, we all have multi-million-dollar ideas, but
materializing them, that's the challenge.
That's the challenge, yeah. We have this delay, so if we think about something, then we first have to actually do it before it's there. It's really annoying. All right, are you ready?
I'm ready. I'm excited.
All right, here we go. This is Shamanic Business. Welcome back.
Hey.
So, how was your journey?
It was unexpected.
Now I'm really curious.
It was quite random. So do you want me to start taking you through the journey?
Yes.
Okay.
Before you forget.
So I encountered a penguin.
A penguin, all right.
Yeah. And the penguin was wearing a crown.
Okay.
And it took me into this really icy realm, like the North Pole. And we sat on a broken piece of ice which was floating through the water.
Okay, yes.
And it was taking us towards a pirate ship.
All right.
And as we were floating towards the pirate ship, we had like ice on either side, and there was like this river in the middle, and we were floating on this river. And I looked into the water, and I was a polar bear.
You was a polar bear, okay.
I was a polar bear, yeah.
Very nice.
And then we went past some flamingos.
Okay.
And the flamingos froze, which I imagine they would in the North Pole. And then we got onto the pirate ship and arrived really quickly at a desert island.
You mean like a desert, so with sand only?
Well, it was like a tropical jungle.
Okay, yes.
With a beach.
Uh-huh.
So I arrived on the beach, and as I was walking down the steps, I turned into a princess with a long gown. A bit like Cinderella, that sort of...
A gown?
A gown, yeah, like a ball gown.
What is a gown?
A gown's like a dress for a formal party for a woman.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So I was dressed as a princess, and now I was wearing a crown as well. So I was walking with the penguin that was wearing a crown, and I was wearing a crown.
All right.
And then I got to a tree.
Yeah.
And I had to go up the tree to get a coconut. And so I turned into a monkey.
Okay.
And I get to the top of the tree and I look down, and there's just a massive drop into, like a sheer drop into nothing. And instead of being afraid, I just let go. And the drop turned into a flat surface I was walking on.
Okay.
And the flat surface was like the Atacama Desert. Really dry, broken earth. And as I was walking along that, it turned into an ocean. And I turned into this, this naked woman with sorry. I forgot a little bit. When I was the princess, I went from being a young princess into this beautiful, wise old woman with long, dark, long grey hair.
All right. Yes.
Yeah, I forgot that bit. So then I got to this...
And then you climbed into the tree.
And then I climbed into the tree, yeah.
Yeah.
And
became a monkey, climbed into the tree to get the coconut?
To get the coconut. And then as I was getting the coconut, I looked down and there's this massive drop. But it's like this flat face, like a flat face of a mountain. So if you like doing, climbing, and you look down, that's kind of what the vision that you would see. And then as I let go, instead of falling, I then turned. It was almost like the earth turned and I was walking on that rock.
Instead of falling. Okay.
Instead of falling, yeah. And then the rock became water, and I was then a naked woman walking into the water. And I completely immersed myself in the water. And as I came up, I looked up to the stars, and the stars started forming into different animals.
All right.
And that's pretty much it.
Okay, so we start at the beginning. So in the beginning, you are together with the penguin with a crown on a little ice piece.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So what could the penguin possibly symbolize for you?
And a creature that survives by being part of a community. So when going through cold periods, the penguin huddles into a pack with other penguins so as to stay warm.
Yes, okay.
So when going through those cold months of the year, like the coldest, hardest times of the year, the penguins, they all unite together to share their warmth.
So do you think it symbolizes a teacher that is experienced with the cold times that you are going through now?
It could be. I mean, this penguin was wearing a crown. Yeah. I mean, I felt that the penguin was very grounded and wise.
So he's the king. Oh, wait. I can see a little bit how we could see this, possibly. Like a penguin, he's always walking in a pack, you know?
Yes.
And this one had a crown, so he was leading a pack of penguins, probably.
He's the king of the penguins, yeah.
The king of the penguins. Yeah, and you were a polar bear, and polar bears usually walk alone, right?
Yeah.
And if you are just starting in this digital world and you don't have many followers, you kind of feel like the polar bear.
Yeah. Definitely.
Does it make any sense?
It does, yeah.
All right, so the penguin, he's the king of gaining followers in cold times, you know? So he can teach you. So what was the next thing? You were going into a river.
Yeah, so we're floating along this river on the ice, and I look at it, and then we go past the flamingos. So these pink flamingos, and then they freeze as I go past.
And freeze in a bad way or freeze in a good way?
It didn't feel great.
Didn't feel great?
Yeah.
Okay, so who could possibly symbolize the flamingos? Possibly
getting lost in the wrong arena, so looking in the wrong direction. is in one of the things that I find in the digital world is the distraction of the area I'm wanting to help people get away from, which is the body beautiful. So this is one of the main reasons I came out of Instagram twice now. I battled Instagram is because there's such a large amount of we're just sort of thrown these images of this ideal beauty, and it's all consuming. It's so since I've been back on, I've just been observing a few accounts and how many followers they have, and just the sort of pictures that are being put up, and how it's so easy to get sucked into looking at it too much. And so it's the fact that is what can stop me from can freeze me in my steps. Being distracted by the wrong influences and believing that that's the right way to go, using the body beautiful as the way to get followers.
Exactly. And the flamingos are all about aesthetics, no? They just stand there on one leg being beautiful.
Yeah.
So that could symbolize that, huh?
And these are the types of people who really need the help, but maybe aren't ready for it yet.
Yeah, so they freeze.
Yeah, because they're too consumed by their own beauty.
Yeah, so they look at the penguin with the crown, but all they do is freeze.
All they do is freeze, yeah.
All right, that makes sense so far.
And then we got onto a pirate ship.
All right, so pirates are usually the people that do it a little bit different from the mainstream. Right?
Yes.
Or what is your association with pirates?
Yeah, I guess complete freedom, non-attachment to anything specific. Always being out on the water and finding their treasure in places that most people aren't willing to look. People tend to be afraid of pirates.
Yes. And so you were going on board of the pirate ship together with the penguin, or?
Yes. So we got on the pirate ship. But I didn't have any experience on the pirate ship itself because within seconds we were at the island.
Okay, so the pirate ship, but there were no pirates.
There were, but I didn't really see them. So I had a very quick glimpse of getting on a ship with pirates on, but then suddenly we were at the island.
And maybe the island symbolizes where the treasure is then.
Maybe, yeah.
Usually it's a small detail that there was a pirate ship, but it could mean instead of the aesthetic focused way of the flamingos, you are taking the pirate way and you are doing it a little bit differently. So the pirate ship, you're doing a little bit different. It takes you to the island.
Yeah.
And then you turn into a princess.
Yes.
All right. What's your association with princesses?
I guess it's a material wealth one is born into, but with a lack of freedom, within that space. But then very quickly I became this wise older woman with long grey hair. So it's like I broke out of the princess's gown and into the wise woman.
Do you feel as if you starting a social media platform and start showing yourself out there, you feel that is the way of the princess, something you cannot get out of, and then you're captured in this life of doing social media?
A bit, yeah. Yeah, it's, having to be consistently visible to create the following.
Yeah, it's princess life, eh?
Yeah. Huh?
But then you transformed it into a wise woman.
Yes.
Which might symbolize like the mature way of dealing with social media instead of the princess way.
Yes. A non-consuming way.
In a non-consuming way, yeah. Okay, so far so good. And then you turned into a monkey to climb the tree to get the coconut.
Yeah.
So the coconut, I don't know, it's something that you want on top of the tree. So it could possibly mean the financial freedom that you want.
So before, there's one element I forgot, is that I wanted to go and bathe in a waterfall, but I don't know what it was that told me, but something on the island told me, before you have the right to bathe in the waterfall, first you have to climb the coconut to get the tree. To climb the tree to get the coconut.
Okay, so what could be the waterfall?
Well, as I was saying it, I realized that once I did get into the tree for the coconut, then I did go to the water to bathe. And water is about this cleansing process, this removing of the unnecessary. There's the requirement of no clothing, nothing, no masks, nothing covering us. And to enter this element that cleanses us of whatever it is that needs removing.
Yeah. And so before you could take the mask off and become naked, you had to climb the tree and get the coconut.
Yes.
So what could the coconut symbolize?
See, for me, coconut is a super food in that it has so many, you can drink the water in the coconut, you can eat the flesh. The coconut can then become a bowl or a cup out of which you can drink. The coconut's a really powerful food source. So the coconut is something, it symbolizes the capacity on a desert island to survive.
Yes. Yeah.
And also the nourishment. So I think one of the things, coconut is also nourishment. It's this need within the process of creating what it is I want to give out there to continually be nourishing my own journey.
Yes. Yeah. Makes sense.
So as not to just be working for others, but also doing my own work, my own personal journey. Yeah.
Yeah, because maybe if you start bathing in the waterfall without nourishing yourself first, it's very easy to get lost in the amount of likes you get and the popularity on social media. But, you first need the coconut. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So all this random shit so far makes a lot of sense, no? Okay, so the next step was you jumping off the cliff?
Looking down.
Yeah.
I have a fear of heights and a fear of falling. And so I look down from the tree and I just see this abyss, this drop that goes on forever. It's infinite. And it was just a sheer face. It wasn't like anything to hold on to. It was like, if you let go, there's nothing to hold on to there.
Yeah. And that is also maybe the beginning of your social media life or your digital life, because once you start, it's very hard to go back.
Yeah, I have a feeling that abyss, that fear, that representation of my greatest fear, that fear of falling, that fear of letting go and completely surrendering and not knowing what will happen if I allow myself to fall, is completely entering that space of no fear on my own internal journey. So completely surrendering to my own process, not controlling anything, because there's nothing to hold on to anymore. It's just like you've got to let go and fall. And And as soon as I let go and fell, I didn't fall. Suddenly the world turned on its side so that I could stand up straight.
And then you became naked, right?
Yeah.
And then you swam in the water?
And then I slowly walked into this like lake or ocean. It was infinite. And then went all the way under the water.
So what does this lake symbolize, you think?
Infinite possibilities.
Makes sense.
The strength and the fluidity of water. So it's that capacity to adapt to anything it comes into contact with, but it's one of the strongest elements that exists. And it's capable of not only being, it can become vapor.
Yes.
It can become ice. And it's got many forms.
Interesting. So what was the next step? Was there any next step?
Yeah, and then I came out of the water, and the water on my body was gold. So when you come out of water and the body's wet, my body was shining gold.
Gold, okay.
Yeah. And then I looked up to the sky at the stars, and it was almost like there were bluish clouds appearing in the forms of different animals. So an eagle, a crocodile, and there was something else, like a serpent or something.
So the golden skin might symbolize the financial freedom as soon as you come out of the water of the infinite possibilities. Does that make sense?
It does make sense.
All right, so it's going pretty well. So you have golden skin, you're financially independent, and then you look up, and then I thought you said there were stars instead of clouds.
So I look up and see the black sky with the stars, and then this really subtle formation, almost like smoke, and they were turning into different animals.
Any association that comes to mind?
Well, it was an eagle, I think it was a serpent and a crocodile. An eagle, I mean, that's the ultimate freedom, isn't it? The capacity to fly.
And the crocodile?
Crocodile. No fear? I'm not really sure what the crocodile could represent.
Yeah, it can mean many things, but the dream symbolism is usually connected to your personal association. So for me, the crocodile can mean something completely different.
Yeah, maybe it's fending off people who want to change, people want to take advantage of what I'm doing, who don't have the right intentions.
You thought the crocodile was an enemy?
It was trying to eat me.
Oh, okay. Whoa. I didn't catch that before.
And I kept pushing it away. So maybe with that financial freedom comes people who want to take advantage of that.
Yes.
But from the wrong place, the wrong intentions. So having to push those people away because they're not ones I want to get on board with. To be careful of the people that I find out on a business terminology that I get into bed with.
Yeah, makes sense.
To make sure that they represent the same concepts I do. They have the same intentions.
Yeah. Very important.
Because the eagle's also a predator.
Were both of them, the three of them?
They're all predators.
But were they all three attacking you?
No, just the crocodile.
Okay, so we have one animal left. So that the eagle represents maybe the freedom that comes with financial freedom. The crocodile is the adversity you face when you have success, the people that are trying to take it away from you. And then we have the serpent. What was it doing?
I didn't see that the serpent was doing anything specific. Even if it was a serpent, the eagle morphed into another animal, and I can't remember I can't visualize what the animal was now. Yeah.
Interesting. So to wrap it up, to make a little summary of this, you enter on an ice piece together with the penguin king, who is very experienced in gaining followers in cold times. And you get past the flamingos, who are worried about their aesthetics. And as soon as you pass them, they are just focused on the penguin and they do nothing but freeze, basically.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So you are doing it in a different way, the pirate way. You enter the pirate ship. Pirate ships takes you to the beach, where you turn into a princess. So you're starting your social media princess vibe, but you transform it to a wise woman vibe. And you're not going to be little princess on Instagram. You're just going to be the wise woman, right?
Yeah.
So then you want to go into the waterfall, but the island tells you, no, you first have to nurture yourself, take care of yourself first, climb the tree, get the coconut, and then you're ready to take the leap and take the fall.
Yes. And the leap was into a space of having nothing to hold on to, so completely surrendering.
Which eventually led to infinite possibilities. Which eventually led to golden skin, being financially independent. Which leads to freedom, the eagle representing freedom, and the adversity that comes with it, which are the crocodiles. Cool. Makes a lot of sense. Does this help you with your question?
Yeah, so I'm going to sit with everything we've gone through. I mean, the first step is that connecting with someone experienced who knows how to either get the followers or the traffic to create the interest in what I offer. So finding my penguin, the king penguin.
Yes.
But finding a king penguin who would make people who are focused on aesthetics freeze. So it's got not somebody who's gone down that path of the aesthetics, somebody who's taken the pirate ship road. This penguin led me onto the pirate ship. So the penguin was saying, no, don't go with the flamingos, go take the different path. So somebody who can show me in which direction to find that different path.
Interesting. So I'm going to take, today I'm going to take the role of the penguin a little bit because I'm going to share my shamanic dreaming journey.
Awesome.
Because what's interesting, I think actually a few days ago, I did a shamanic dreaming session I wanted to know how to start my business, of how to grow my business the fastest. And it led me to getting to know the digital wolf. And this digital wolf was teaching me about the way of growing in the digital world. But it was just an introduction the last time. And now I got to spend some more time with him. So I actually asked this question. So what is the correct order to grow online? So, the sequence. So there is a jungle and there is a digital mountain in the middle of the jungle. So this digital mountain, I think, represents everything that is visible online. So the social media, the web, and the digital wolf is on top of it. So I go to him and I ask the question and he gives me a palette with colors and a brush. And he tells me to decorate the mountain, to color it, So I decorate it. And I think this symbolizes to design your branding, your website, your social media pages, make everything unique, into your personal style. Make sense?
Yes.
So then he shows me to put lines of paint around the mountain, every few meters a different color, as a kind of trap to track the footsteps of the animals that we're going to attract by howling to the moon. Because when we're howling to the moon, there appear digital sound waves out of our mouth, which enter the moon, which make the moon a little bit brighter, which shines into the jungle, which attracts animals. And in your case, because I asked it for you, there was a certain part of the jungle that deers appeared and they came to the mountain because the moon was shining on the mountain and it was growing grass. You follow?
Yes.
So the deers were coming out of the jungle to eat the grass from the mountain. But because we put lines of paint on every few meters around the whole mountain, we could track the footsteps because they were pink footsteps. So we know at which part from the jungle your particular target audience was coming from. So this probably symbolizes installing trackers all over your website and Facebook pixels so you can actually track the data where the people that like you are coming from. So you can actually put your marketing on the people who actually want more of you. Make sense?
Yeah.
So the howling is basically, I learned already this week, the howling to the moon. So generating the digital sound waves coming out of my mouth symbolize the content that we put out there for free, videos, podcasts, something people like that you just howl and people can hear it from the jungle. They can see your videos. And this is the free content you put out. So this kind of attracts the right people that want to see more of you. And then it became daytime. So the sun appeared, but there was a cloud in front of the sun, and we called upon a dragon. And the dragon poked a hole inside of the cloud so he could shine one beam of light towards the part of the jungle where the deers were coming from, because the deers are your people, the people that you want, your followers. But it was a shit-eating dragon. So the deers were eating the grass and then taking a shit. And then every time a deer took a shit, the dragon was eating it and rewarding this deer by flying it upstairs and landing on side of this cloud where the yoga mats were, the yoga mats on the cloud. So this is probably the paid version above the clouds, enjoying the sun, which is your paid version, and the moon symbolize your free videos and content. Make sense? Mm-hmm. So I think this was sufficient.
So the dragon, each time the deers were pooping.
Yes.
So the poop could symbolize money?
Yeah, I think so, because you are giving them value in the form of free content, which is the moon shining. They feed themselves with this, the grass, and then they poop. So yeah, I think, the value turns into more value. I don't know, maybe they make more money because of they feel more fit. I don't know. And yeah, that's the value exchange with the dragon, with the poop. Do you see money as shit?
No. I see money as a concept of exchange.
No, I was just kidding.
So like, let's say the dragon, he nourishes himself on poo. The deers are actually nourishing the dragon. And so it's an exchange. Mm.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, so probably the poop is money, and the cloud with the yoga mats up there is where the exclusive group trainings online, or the courses, or everything people have to pay to see it or to access it.
So the more that they poo, so the more money they give, the higher up on the mountain they go.
No, the dragon actually takes them on the clouds, and on the clouds are the yoga mats. So it's like a yoga studio in the cloud, basically. Probably literally also, so an online yoga school.
Oh yeah, cloud school.
In the cloud school, yeah. Yeah, so this is a more practical thing. I think you got more of an internal answer. And this is a more, more practical marketing answer, because I'm also working in the same things. And this is really handy for me. I'm going to use this.
It's really interesting, because the whole Facebook pixels and installing trackers is something that I've literally just connected with last week.
Yeah.
It's a concept that I spoke to a friend about, and he started telling me how to make Facebook marketing actually work for you, and the introduction of pixels, etc. And it was something I wasn't aware of until last weekend.
Wow.
So it's really interesting that it's come up.
This is one big synchronicity again,
Yeah. Well, because I mentioned it because I've got a mentor at the minute, and I mentioned it to my mentor, and she said it didn't work for her, but that I should try it. And so it created a bit of doubt in my mind, but I really do think I should try it. I have a feeling that it's going to really work well for me.
Yeah, and the thing is also, if you first install it and then start to generate free content by howling to the moon, you're going to attract, with organic growth, you're going to attract the followers that you want, and you can track them. What kind of people are they? And so you can make a profile about who are the type of people that actually are interested in you. And then you can run paid advertisement based on the profiles you got from your organic growth,
I'm writing notes again.
Good, very good.
It's so interesting how it all fits into conversations I literally had this last weekend with 2 different people. No, 3 people. 3 people.
Yeah. So does it feel like a synchronicity?
Definitely. Because, it's not an area that I've talked to people about until now. So there's been so much going on, but I've had 3 conversations with 3 different people, and it's been a subject that's come up.
Yeah.
So it's like, it feels like I'm being told, this is the direction to go in. This is is something you have to now look at investing in. Time.
Perfect.
Yeah. Nice.
About the synchronicities, I actually did a shamanic dreaming session to categorize this also, because sometimes the synchronicities, you cannot always trust them. And I did a shamanic dreaming session with the question, how can I understand synchronicities better? How can I work with them? And it showed me inside of the dream a inverted chameleon, which instead of taking the color of its environment, it's a inverted chameleon. So it chooses a color and its environment takes on the color that he chose. So there was also like a little computer game with a swamp, with a line stretched over the swamp, and right next to the line, the rope, were rocks. And so the color that the chameleon chose controlled where the game character in this game was positioned. So there were 3 positions. It could be swimming in the swamp, walking over the rocks, or cycling over the line with the one-wheeler. Right? So I categorized 3 different types of synchronicities: swampies, rockies, and linies. So swampies let you know that you are in the swamp, meaning your chameleon has chosen a dark color. And rockies show you you're not in alignment. And linies, they are directly helping you with your passion, basically. So an example of a swampy is, I don't know, when you feel paranoid and you're walking to the supermarket, you have the feeling everybody's looking at you, and then people are actually looking at you.
Yeah.
So these are swampies. Every time. So a swampy is literally a coincidence that feels magical, that makes you more paranoid.
A coincidence that feels magical, that makes you more paranoid.
Yeah, those are swampies. If you start following swampies, you get more and more deeper into the swamp.
Yes.
You ever had those?
I can't think of an example.
Well, then you have a chameleon with a very bright color. And rockies are more, kind of warnings, or not really helping you in the sense of benefit. Like 10 years ago when I was starting doing cocaine a little bit more, and I was all the time thinking like, but I can control this. It's no problem. And then I entered YouTube, and there was this commercial on YouTube in front of the video that said, "You think you can control it now, but the hunger is getting deeper." I was like, what the fuck is he talking to me? And I couldn't even find what kind of commercial it was. But it counts as a rocky, which is basically showing you are not in alignment, because who needs cocaine,
Yeah, so it's a synchronicity that's kind of reminding you, is saying, dude, look at what you're doing.
Yes, exactly.
This isn't serving any purpose. Wake the fuck up, kind of thing.
Yeah, so the rockies are not tempting you deeper into the swamp. They're actually helping you to jump on the line. But linies, they are actually helping you. So what you now have, you're talking 3 times about this conversation, and boom, out of the blue, I ask you to do a podcast, and exactly the teams come and provides value for the thing that you actually needed in this very moment.
Yeah, that's definitely a liney.
That's a liney, exactly.
Oh, way.
I love it when people get it and start talking into the language. The coin has to drop first, but once you see it, it's very handy. And you can also see, especially people who are now very deep into the conspiracy, they are deep in the swamp. And because there's a lot of coincidences that feel magical, that make you more paranoid. Whether it's true or not is irrelevant. But the fact is that it's a swampy because it's making you more paranoid.
Yeah, and it's not taking you towards anything that's truly going to help you grow.
Exactly. And it's regardless if the conspiracy is true or not. The fact is you are entering the swamp. And if you follow the swampies, you're going to get deeper into the swamp, Yeah.
Deeper into fear and darkness. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you keep snorting linies,
you can have a coincidence that, to give you an example, a temptation that can come along that can distract you from your path. Maybe that's, I don't know if that would be a swampy, because it's not going into a swamp. It could be a rocky if you actually look at it. I don't know what that could be. Yeah.
The temptations are not really synchronicities, right?
I've had a lot happening where I will think of someone and they'll contact me.
Good or bad, or just neutral?
Well, they can be a distraction. Yeah. Which I guess a distraction is not always bad, because sometimes we do actually need to get out of work mode.
Yeah, that's true. But what I also, for example, if you think about BMWs, you start to see BMWs everywhere, right?
Yeah.
I count this as Rockies because it's showing you are wasting your imaginative abilities to thinking about BMWs, because if you would be thinking about your passion, you would be seeing linies everywhere,
Yeah.
So, I mean, seeing BMWs everywhere doesn't help anyone. All right. So you're going to be snorting linies, the following time.
Yeah. Give me a lot of linies, please. Line up those linies.
Line up the linies. So yeah, it's almost a psychedelic experience, this podcast.
Yeah, I mean, because I'm not a very visual person. So right at the beginning, I was lying down thinking, worrying that I was going to fail on you, basically, and that you were going to come on the line and be like, what did you see? I'd be like, nothing. I saw nothing. So yeah, that was my initial response. I was like, shut up, to myself.
Yeah.
And then the penguin appeared.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's I have a scientific document that says 10 out of 10 people listening to the shamanic drumming with the shamanic instructions they're following correctly, they have dreamlike experiences. So this is a 100% success rate. 2 out of 10 without shamanic instructions listening to the shamanic drumming have dreamlike experience. Meaning, if my instructions are not good enough, then it only has a 20% success rate. But if my instructions are clear enough, communicated, so if it doesn't work, I don't blame you, I blame myself. So since it worked, and since you're not a visual person, I did a good job. I'm actually doing it a lot now. I'm making videos about it, which is part of my wolf howling, digital wolf howling, which is going to attract more people because it's just interesting content to watch. It's, it's educational and it's funny.
Yeah, it's how funny that I don't go on. Recently, I've done an unconscious cleansing of my Facebook connection, as in I created a month's worth of posts the other day. And so I've had no need to be consistently going on to Facebook. So it's been a few weeks where I've not connected that much with Facebook, no scrolling to see stuff or anything like that, getting distracted by it. So it's really interesting that with the minimal amount of contact I've had with Facebook, that I open it up and I see your post.
Oh, wow. That's a liney.
That is a liney. And then I was, because I remember looking at your webpage. When was it that you put something on Facebook about your webpage? Had you just brought a new webpage out or something?
Yeah, I just brought it out, yeah.
And I saw that post, which is interesting because the algorithm, for some reason, brought that post up on my feed. Even though we haven't had we haven't been sort of chatting on Facebook or anything, but for some reason the algorithm knew that I'd want to look at it. So I looked on your page and I was like, oh, that looks really cool. And I remember just liking the page and liking the, the ideas behind what you're doing, etc.
Nice.
So it's really interesting that these little linies keep taking us in directions.
Yeah, the linies are in a conspiracy with Facebook, you know?
They totally are.
It's the interdimensional inverted chameleon Facebook algorithm conspiracy, you know?
Well, to give you an example of the linies being in Facebook, on Sunday, I'm going to this beautiful place, off-grid hotel in the mountains, where a professional photographer and filmmaker is going to do a drone film for my webpage. You know, things that usually cost you a lot of money. He's going to edit it. He's going to make it really professional, and he's doing it all for free. Because I put a post out on Facebook asking if anybody did drone footage, and he just offered his services for free. And he doesn't do that. Like, he charges a lot of money. And it's like, whoa, how did that happen?
Yeah.
In a moment when I really needed it. Like, how does that happen? Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, because your inverted chameleon is having bright psychedelic colors that is are snorting linies like crazy, you know?
It's like I'm high on those linies.
Exactly.
Well, thanks, Mick. I really enjoyed that. It was awesome.
Yeah, you're welcome. It's really cool. This podcast is going to be awesome. I'm going to edit it soon.
Yeah, thanks, Mick. I look forward to listening to it.
Yeah. Thank you for joining.
Yeah.
I hope it brought you some value.
It definitely did. It did.
And let's keep in touch.
Definitely.
All right.
Speak to you soon.
Take care. This is Shamanic Business.